Mhm. All right. Amazing, amazing. Hey guys, Happy New Year 2022. First of all, to all of the community members joined here. Hope you had a blast and gotten off to a really nice start to a work week of sorts, and working on your New Year goals, milestones. What should we do? What should we achieve for this year? I'm sure everyone has their own dreams for 2022, and I think all of us deserve it since these 2 years of in a shaky pandemic situation everywhere. But I think that has given us a lot of opportunities to innovate, bring out new solutions out there, build out new products out there. So yeah, I just try to say that, and hope you guys have a year of growth, growth, and growth. There's only three things I wish for all of you. So with that, really want to kick off our first brand for January, SmartCue. I've been talking to Robin from past 2 months. Very excited to kick this off. In their, it fit well with their, roadmap as well of coming through, trying to build it for B2B, and then trying to now completely go product led, right? Making it a self-serve product uh, used by sales teams and stuff. And yeah, I think sales had to be disrupted the way sales is done. So I won't take much time. I'll head the stage to Robin. Thank you so much, Robin, for coming today, and welcome on board for the 100 Days of Feature Request program. So, tell us a bit more about you. Tell us a bit more about how you came about SmartQ. We have heard about IQ, but this is SmartQ. So, so yeah. Why don't you introduce yourself?
Sure, sure, sure. Firstly, so thank you for having me on, Ashish, and the Sawolabs team. I appreciate that. I'm really excited to get to hear from a lot of you folks on your feedback and thoughts on SmartQ. And just in case folks didn't know, Ashish is out there rubbing his hands, not because he's excited about SmartQ, but because he's cold and he's in Himachal. So just so folks know, right? Uh, but so, as background, I think I share similar background with a lot of you folks. I have a uh, engineering degree from here in Bombay, where I'm based right now. I moved to the US post that, got my MBA there, and post that actually worked in the US for 12 plus years in the enterprise SaaS space for a lot of different startups, early stage to late stage, and really across the spectrum. What I noticed was, because I was part of this, because I was mostly part of sales teams and played this hybrid product slash sales role. So whether as a solution consultant or a solution architect, I noticed that sales demos usually suck, right? I mean, I don't know how many of you have had, like sales demos given to you either in person or on Zoom, perhaps. How many times have you actually had a moment where you're like, oh my God, this salesperson is actually solving my problem, right? More often than not, what's been my experience is they come with, like, a cookie cutter script, and they're like, okay, they'll just kind of vomit out the 10 things that they've been told to say, and that's it. And that doesn't necessarily move the needle for anyone, right? And now think about the fact that, especially post the pandemic, right, where pre-pandemic, a lot of sales folks who had some charm or who had some corporate credit cards could take you out, wine and dine you, schmooze you, and then try to sell you something. But post the pandemic, really all they have is 30 minutes of their buyer's time on Zoom, where they can't hide behind anything. The product has to shine, right? And now that's when, they're fully exposed. If they are not able to do a great product demo or a product pitch, their sales funnel is not going to move as fast, and sales leaders are always going to struggle to figure out why is it that I have 1,000 leads at the top of the sales funnel, but only five are really converting. And a big reason is because my messaging, my demo is not personalized to the buyer. It's not solving the need or not addressing the pain point of the buyer, right? And so all of these things sort of came together and culminated for me to give me that aha moment. Because in my previous life, I tried to find a lot of different tools that to solve for this exact problem. That let's just do really good demos. If you do a great demo, a big part of your sales cycle is solved for, because you've already established for the buyer that your product can solve their problem. Then all you have to do is convince them, do the negotiation, do the pricing, and all of that, right? So in 2021, it sort of all came together for me, and I started SmartCue because I was like, no one's really solving the problem the way I think it needs to be solved. And so we kind of took the plunge, and here we are, right? I mean, and it looks like there is no end to the pandemic, right? Virtual selling is here to stay. So anyone who's going to be on a Zoom call is not there because they love Zoom calls. Everyone hates Zoom calls. Everyone's had enough of them, right? But if you're on that Zoom call, if the person in front of you actually solves your problem, you're like, okay, that's 30 minutes well spent. I don't regret this Zoom call as I do most of my other calls, right? And so that's when we sort of hit upon SmartCue, and we're like, okay, let's solve for this. Let's enable sales reps to deliver the best, most personalized product demo possible, right? And where we are now is, we've kind of built it out to a point where you can visualize SmartCue as you start to you'll download it, you'll play with it. But the easy way to visualize what SmartCue does is it essentially is an intelligent teleprompter for the sales reps, for them to sort of to cue them up visually and textually in terms of what is it that they need to say, how do they need to message their product based on the audience. So you have a library of demo scripts. So whether it is if you're demonstrating to the head of sales at a SaaS company, or if you're talking to a manufacturing company, or if you're talking to a CTO or a CFO, your product's the same, but the way you message it and the subset of features that you show to your audience is going to be very different, right? It's the 80/20 rule still applies here. You only show 20% of your product that is going to drive the aha moment for your audience. And that's what SmartCue enables you to do, right? So let me pause there. Uh, See if there's any questions, or Ashish, if you have any follow-ups before we continue on.
No, I think, guys, if you have any questions, please drop in the chat. We can take it up as we move along. But Robin, we can continue and maybe show them demo as we speak. So I would
Yeah,
just
sure. So yeah, so I think we'll do two things, right? In the Slack channel, I'll also drop a Loom video walkthrough of the product. So I think that'll give you a very quick sense of what the product does and how we're trying to solve it.
cool.
And now I'll actually try and show you.
And we have a
Uh,
question from which
yeah,
is SmartCue similar to Salesforce?
yeah. So okay. So actually, they're SmartCue essentially augments something like a Salesforce. So Salesforce is your CRM, right? It's your source of truth for everything related to the customer. So who's the decision maker there? Who are you going to sell to? How many times have you spoken to them? Those that kind of information is in Salesforce, and it's asynchronous, right? You kind of go after you've had your meetings, you go into Salesforce, you update it and things like that. With SmartCue, you're actually using SmartCue in stream, which is when you're doing your product demo, you are using SmartCue to to do the demo better, essentially, right? So all right, let me figure out how I'm gonna show you the demo here. Yeah. So what we'll do is for the demo, I'm actually going to show you just what the salesperson sees, right? So the salesperson's view. So for that, I'm actually going to share my entire screen. So you guys get a view of everything, not just a window or anything of that sort. All right,
Awesome.
cool. So share screen, entire screen. All right. Good question, Swagat. All right. So we'll get to that. Uh, Let me know if everyone can see my screen. Ashish, can you see it?
Yeah, yep.
Perfect, perfect. So what you're seeing is the SmartCue desktop app. Okay. Uh, for a salesperson, when they log into SmartCue, they have a library of different demos. Now, these demos can be based on different use cases, different industries, or different buyer personas, right? So, like I said, if I'm talking to a head of sales, my pitch and my messaging is going to be different than when I speak to sort of someone who's a head of a marketing agency or sales ops person at a manufacturing company, right? So in this case, I'm a salesperson for Zoho, right? I think everyone knows a CRM, and we were asked a question about a CRM. So this is interesting, right? So I'm selling a CRM using SmartCue, okay? So when I do that, and I'm selling this CRM, I'm pitching it to a head of sales, okay? So because of that, I'm going to open this specific demo instance from my library. So when I hit open, what it does is it's not a static view, it's not a PDF, it's not a PowerPoint, it is your live product that opens up, right? So the product itself opens up, and SmartCue, like I said, remember, is essentially a teleprompter for your sales teams, right? It tells them that if you're on this screen, these are the key points that you need to highlight for this buyer persona, for this customer segment, right? So in this case, we're just starting out. So it's like, make sure you do your intros right, highlight the things that you heard from them in discovery to ensure that they know that you actually heard them and that this demo is going to address their pain points and the questions that they raised during discovery, right? And you'll hit next, you'll hit sign in, and now so here's the interesting thing, right? I'm sharing my entire screen so you can see what's happening on the salesperson's desktop. In a real life demo, the salesperson is really only going to be sharing their Chrome browser, not the entire screen. So the buyer will not actually see uh, SmartCue, and they will not see any of the visual cues that you'll also see here, right? So let me tell you what I mean by those visual cues, right? So I'm in the product that I'm pitching to the head of sales. This red sort of rectangle that you see, that's the visual cue that is leading the salesperson through the demo, right? Saying that, hey, you know what, you're in on the dashboard. These are the 3 or 4 things that you need to talk about. Once you're done talking about them, click on leads and move on to the next step. So this cue, this visual cue and SmartCue are not visible to the buyer on the other end, right? And as you can see, it kind of just cues you up and says that, okay, come over here, go there, talk about this. This is where you're going to go next. So as a salesperson, even if you lose your train of thought, SmartCue can sort of help you stay on track and ensure that you actually don't miss anything that you really want to highlight, right? And one of the key things is that sales demos are never linear, right? Just like this audience, when I'm selling to someone, they will ask me a bunch of different questions. So when they do, I have to be able to sort of go off script. And when I want to do that, the way we enable that in SmartCue really is you click anywhere on your own product, and when you do that, SmartCue pauses. Okay, so no multiple clickings, no juggling different screens or anything of that sort, right? So I'm just going to come here, I'll block this. Maybe you ask me a different question, I can go somewhere else, so on and so forth. And whenever I'm ready, just to ensure that, again, I don't forget that, hey, you know what, for this client, I want to be able to uh, highlight these key things that I really wanted to. I simply hit resume, and when I did that, it kind of took me where we left off, right? And you can continue to move on through this flow, and you'll see that there's these concise cues that are there in a text box for your sales reps, right? And these cues, now you'll see in this case, the cue is actually much more detailed, and the idea is that depending on your sales organization, whether it's a team of very young, very new salespeople, or is it an experienced sales team? For an experienced sales teams, you can just have very concise bullet points, and they'll be able to just take that and do their demos. For newer teams, or perhaps if you have a brand new module in your product, right, which you want to ensure that your team actually really knows what the talk track is, really knows what to say, and how to sort of translate the value proposition for that buyer, then your cues can actually be much more detailed, right? And I'll actually pause here because the product intentionally is meant to be extremely simple, right? Because one of the biggest learnings we had is, for any sales organization, if I introduce the greatest product, but if it adds any amount of friction to their existing workflow, they are not going to adopt it. So whatever we end up building has to actually fit into their existing workflow, or reduce the friction that they have in their existing workflow. Otherwise, we are going to struggle for adoption, which is why, if any of you have been in sales teams or been around sales teams, you will know that, whether when a CRM is implemented or an LMS system is implemented, there is a huge sort of lead time for implementation, deployment, training, and then there is a whole another team that is responsible only for ensuring that the sales team is actually using it. The reason, because there's a huge resistance to any sort of change, because you're actually adding more steps to their existing workflow, right? So let me pause there, and I'm going to stop sharing here. I don't know if there are questions or not. I'll come back here. But all right. So it seems like there are a few questions.
Yep.
But all right, let's start at the top, right? So I think, Harshvardhan, I think I've answered your question, hopefully. Let me know if I haven't. All right. So Swagat, I think that's actually a really good question, right? Because a lot of people tend to compare SmartCue with speaker notes that are there in PowerPoint and Google Slides. First question I want to ask you is, how many times or how often have you actually used speaker notes, right? And if you've been part of sales organizations, tell me how many times you've used it. Second, speaker notes are for slide decks. SmartCue is for live product demos, right? I hope that clarifies it, right? Um, all right. Sharan, I hope I've answered your question. The red box is not visible to the client. I actually shared my entire screen so you get a view of what the salesperson will see.
I think Swagat wanted to know
Yeah,
long-term goals of
no,
SmartCue.
I think that's a great question, because so what you need to think about is a few things. One is the actual sales cycle, right? In a typical sales cycle, discovery happens by an inside sales rep, which includes two or three steps. One of the steps is that, hey, I'll call up my prospect and say that, Mr. or Mrs. So and so, I have this great product. I think it'll help you. Can I show you a quick demo? These demos are typically offline, or typically online, right? They are virtual. These are not in-person meetings, right? So there is already a component of your sales cycle that is virtual. And for the inside sales reps teams or the inbound sales reps teams, this tool will be valid pandemic or otherwise. Secondly, because of the pandemic, what people have realized is that we don't require as many in-person meetings as we did. Can we save costs by doing virtual meetings and then go and meet the client only when we are trying to close, right? So which means that a larger chunk of your meetings are going to happen virtually. And if that's the case, you are going to be able to use a product like SmartCue more and more often, and to gain even more value for your sales team, right?
Got it.
Uh, Ayush, it is actually not a tool for offline meetings. It is not intended to be used when you're meeting someone in person, right? When you're meeting in person, the expectation is one, you are actually there to establish a rapport, right? You're not there just to do a product demo, right? You probably are much further down in your sales process. And if you're doing a product demo, it is, it is that deep dive. And in a deep dive, you're not going to use SmartCue, not yet. Okay, for solution selling, you're not going to use SmartCue. um, how do you onboard a new product with queues and everything? So that's the flip side of the problem, right? One is the sales rep is using SmartCue to easily, without any issues, be able to do a product demo, have all of their queues up on their screen. In today's time, the problem is that creating, maintaining, and updating these demo libraries or demo scripts typically falls either with the product team or the product marketing team, or nowadays with the sales enablement team. And it is a, a very exhaustive and resource and time intensive process, right? Especially think of SaaS products, right? Because you have 2 to 4 to 6 week product release cycles. So every 6 weeks, if you are expected to sort of update your demo script, record a whole new video showcasing all the features of that are released in the last 6 weeks, sending an email out, holding another 1 hour, 2 hour Zoom session with multiple different sales folks, then holding sessions where you certify them. It's a long drawn out process, right? With SmartCue, whoever is the team, whether it's product, whether it's sales enablement, really they go in. There's a Chrome extension part of this, right, which you will actually experience to create these queues, right? So with the Chrome extension, you kind of go in, you go to your actual product, you click on whichever URL which you want the user to talk about, you type out your script, any visual element that you want them to select, you'll kind of click on, you'll select that, and you'll save it. Like, and that, I think I simplified it, but honestly, it is that simple. And that was our goal, right? How do we solve both parts of the equation, which
Got it.
is making it easy for the salesperson to do the demo, and for the team or individuals that are creating these demos to be able to create them, maintain them, and update them seamlessly, and with relatively less time and resources spent.
Awesome. Robin,
Yeah.
do you have some time to go over the problem statement, right?
Sure. Yes, I can stay on. Yes.
Okay, great. So you have given a problem statement of optimizing the user journey to ensure higher usage and lower churn. So could you
Correct.
a little bit, deep dive on that
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
community?
Sure. 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 So where SmartQueue is right now, I think the product is decent. I don't want to toot my own horn, but because we want to be a product led, we want to adopt the product led growth model. Uh, I think we realize that our onboarding, is going to be crucial to enable that. And that's where I think we could definitely use insights from people to improve on that, to get ideas on how do we ensure that When someone comes in or lands on the website, they really understand the problem statement, the value proposition, and when they actually sign up, there is a very clear path that they can take to sort of um, figure out how to use the product. I think it's simple, but again, I'm biased. So I need unbiased external folks to be able to validate that and provide inputs on how to sort of simplify that. And inherently, I think there is a challenge with the product because there is a Chrome extension piece, there is a desktop app piece, and then there is an admin app piece which is basically used for payments and managing users and permissions and roles and all of that. So how do you ensure that people are actually moving through all of those three things seamlessly as and when you want them to, right? And the second, of course, is as you saw, the product is very, very basic in the sense that we are solving a very, very targeted problem of making sure that people are able to do great demos, right? And so how do we, what sort of features would in your case product managers perhaps or developers would like to see, because we've actually had interest from our or users from our pilot customers who are using it in their product teams and saying that, hey, we are going to use SmartCue to train our product team members on the product that we are building and why we are building certain things the way we are, right? So that could perhaps be a secondary use case for us, other than sales. So I'm very curious to see how product folks think about it. And so that's the other thing, just just putting it out there. And yeah, we're just really excited to hear how some of these brilliant minds actually come up and be like, hey, this, if you build this feature out, I think this can add value in Y way, right? So that's what I think we're looking for.
Awesome. Lovely. We have some more questions. Do you want to take that on the Slack
uh,
channel? Uh,
I have 9 more minutes actually, so I can
Cool.
stay on if folks want me to. That's fine.
Sure.
Uh, all
So I
right.
think Sharon has
So
a question.
Sharon, okay, yes, Sharon, that's a great question. Currently, we only work with basically any software that works in a Chrome browser, right? It will not work with desktop apps or apps that are installed natively or mobile apps. That'll come down the line perhaps, but we want to solve this problem initially. Vishwesh, so I don't know if that was a comment on me doing a poor demo or something else, but maybe you can expand on that, Vishwesh. I don't know. Ayush, how does standard and enterprise differ? So in terms of use cases, I think it's the same, but the enterprise version is going to have, it's not out there yet. The enterprise version is going to have advanced reporting, analytics, the ability to sort of do multi-person demos, which is where uh, all right, man. Thank you, Vishwesh. I appreciate the honest feedback. Uh, but yeah, so Ayush, it really is. We're gonna have like additional security in terms of OAuth and single sign-on and those kind of things. Those are the things that a lot of our corporate clients, a lot of our large enterprise clients, especially in the healthcare segment, are requesting higher emphasis on security and things like that. So that's what the enterprise version might have.
Got it. Great. So I think we've covered most of the questions, Robin. Thank you so much
All right.
for taking that time and explaining everything very clearly
Sure.
to the community. So yeah, guys, that's our kickoff with SmartCue. So the problem statements are very clear. Solving their onboarding, right, making a really great onboarding experience, and post, let's say, during the sign up flow, what should the route, what route should the people take, send in feature requests for that. And obviously, with other different dashboards coming in, how does that integrate, and what kind of feature requests can be done to
Yeah.
improve the take the product to the next level, right? So yeah, sounds good. If any more questions you guys have, definitely you guys are part of the Slack channel.
Yeah.
If not, please fill in the brand interest form for contributing to SmartCue, and we'll get you added to the Slack channel. Sneha, please, I request you to put the forms in here in the chat. Uh, okay, we have more.
Yeah, I'm happy to. Yeah, so that's on the roadmap. Integrating with Figma, integrating with single page applications, because there's a lot of nuances with single page applications and Figma, right? To be able to, because right now, if you started playing with the product, you'll start to realize that we use a combination of XPath and URLs to sort of capture where you are and to be able to relate that to the queues. With Figma and with single page applications, it gets a bit tricky. So that will come later. So we're trying to figure that out.
Got it. Amazing. Great. Okay, so I'm going to take Shahad's question. Shahadat, I think you're interested to know how Sawolabs work, all right? Okay, so Robin kind of like pointed out here a problem, right? Where he's trying to solving a lot of onboarding issues to people. And during onboarding, the very important thing uh, is making sure users sign into your platform as fast as possible and start using your product, right? Now, a lot of time, what happens is you end up in the loop of either forgetting your passwords, right? Or let's say waiting for an OTP to come in, right? And sign into a product. Sawolabs pretty much solves that problem by providing you that one-time passwordless authentication for your users when they come to your product, so that once they trust Savo to sign you in to that product, the next time they come on, they just need to use their email ID and primarily log into that product directly, right? So it helps your product reduce a lot of churn, right? Decrease your bounce rate, and yeah, uh, basically convert people, right? Coming to your product. That's how Savalabs work. It is a very simple. So you just have to go create a project in Savalabs, right? Uh, have the API key. We provide like a lot of SDKs for web apps, mobile, no code platforms, e-commerce integration, all of that. So feel free to check out. Otherwise, we are here to answer any of your queries. So and if you feel while solving Robin's problem, we could be a part of it, trying to solve that problem. Let's hear it up, right? The best way for us to collaborate is you guys telling that, okay, I think these products can work together well, right? So
Absolutely.
yeah. All right. So thank you so much, Robin. I won't take much of your time. Great to kick this off. More questions, we will take it on the Slack channel. Thank you so much for coming in. Really excited for the next 7 days.
My pleasure. Thank you for having me. All right.
Awesome.
Bye bye.
Bye bye. Great. Awesome. So guys, for those of you who are very new here, so I just wanted to talk to you more a bit about the 100 Days of Feature Request program and why we are here, right? So we started this program 1 month back, uh, where we wanted to build a environment for collaboration between developers, product managers, and also brands to come together and drive product scalability, solve a lot of problem statements, whether it may be churn rate, user onboarding, right, user getting off, product experience of sorts, and it could give the brands a platform to get feature suggestions from you guys, and also if they like it, they would really want to work with you or hire you in to the brand, and you get to work with primarily a bunch of community members who are product enthusiasts, right? Learn from each other on how to write feature requests, how to solve different problem statements, how to think beyond for different kind of brands, right? So we have literally SaaS brands, e-commerce brands, uh, different and more upcoming, brands coming soon as well in the education space, right? So it gives you a way where for 10 days you come and think about that problem statement and expand your horizon basically, right, into solving problems for different kind of products. I think that makes you a better product manager, that makes you a better product owner in itself. So this is our fourth brand cohort which is starting. We're going to have six more brand cohorts moving along. This is going to continue for the next 2 months as well. So feel free to engage more, learn from each other, and if there's any other questions, we're there to solve your problems. So great. My name is Ashish, by the way. I'm the community lead of the product led jam community and also associate product manager at Sawolabs. So if you guys have any questions, you can reach out to me. Otherwise, I'm going to end the session. If you guys want to hang out, we can go to the networking table, and we can answer any more questions regarding the program. All right. All right. Thank you so much, guys. See ya.